Call the Jackson County Board of Commissioners meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation led by Ray Snell. All rise.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I ask God to give us direction as we work to do the people's business. And as I pray for peace in the Middle East, I'm going to close that prayer. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Bear.
Present.
Commissioner Walls. Here. Commissioner Kennedy.
I'm here.
Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Pileski.
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
I am here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Snell. Chairman Shotwell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to the agenda? We have a motion and support. The Administrator Controller has asked for one item to be removed and returned to his office. It appears under the consent agenda, and it's the Verigy item. Are there any other items for removal? Hearing none, approve. No, sir, I'm taking care of that right now under the approval of the whole agenda. The one item, we're just sending it back to his office. He's gonna report back in December on that item, okay? The Verigy item. Approval of the agenda has amended. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Awards and recognition, we have none. Communications and petitions? Seeing none. Special orders or public hearings, there are none. We've arrived at the first opportunity for public comment. Public comment guidelines, each individual will state their name, have 3 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment opportunity, and you may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate nor answer questions at this time. Public comment is now open.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Cameron Carr, current Chairman of the Airport Advisory Council. I've been an active member of the Jackson County Airport for the last 3 years. I understand that the current Chair of the Airport Board, Mr. John Feldberry, intends to step down in December, and I would like to make it known that I intend to run for appointment and your support to take his place on the Airport Board. I am the co-founder of Jackson Aviation Day, which has been running for the last 2 years. I helped start the flight school, bring Zephyr Systems to the Jackson County Airport. Got my private pilot certificate at Jackson County Airport. I'm co-owner of several aircraft and hangars at the airport. I spend countless hours of my own free time trying to build the airport, grow the community, increase community involvement and awareness that the airport is there and it's there for their service. Through Jackson County Aviation Day, we've bring about 3,000 people for the first year and about the same for the second year. Currently making plans for the third annual year in the event. Seeing tremendous support from the community, a great outreach of support for that event. Would like to continue my work to advance the airport, grow the airport, increase community involvement and awareness that it is there. And I will be looking for your support in December for that appointment. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Gary Schutte, Jackson County Sheriff. Just wanted to take a quick moment to bring you up to date on the Sheriff's Office. It seems like all we talk about is the jail and the dilapidated conditions in the jail. And I wanted to let you know that there are other things that we're doing. So with that, we have started a peer support program with our deputies. This is critical, especially at this point. in police work where we're highly scrutinized. As you know, there's been some very serious incidents that the deputies have been involved in. And as a result of that, this peer support program reaches out to them and assists them mentally and sometimes even physically with other outreaches as well. We sent them to training specifically for peer support. And in addition to that, we have offered it to all area police departments in the county and are beginning to branch out even into the fire arena and assisting some of the volunteer fire departments and of course some of the paid fire departments around here as well. So I think it's a really positive thing that we've spearheaded at the Sheriff's Office. In addition to that, we have a public outreach and recruitment program that's totally volunteer, and we had too many deputies for it. That's how many wanted to be involved. So you've got really, really good deputies that are wanting to reach out and be a part of the community and make this a better place. In addition to that, they're involved in recruitment of our deputies, which is really important because it is very difficult to get recruits at both the corrections level and the patrol level. Our annual awards banquet just kicked off, and where we honored Deputy of the Year Mark Easter. For the patrol side, Deputy of the Year Morgan West on the corrections side, and we had a sergeant on the corrections side of the year, and that was Eric Kennedy, and a sergeant on the patrol side of the year, and that was Michael Stewart. For those of you that came, thank you very much. For those of you that didn't or were unable to came, you missed some very incredible and heroic stories by our deputies. So that's it. I just wanted to take a couple seconds of your time, and I would close with this. A couple of you are newer to the board, and I've had some questions about, well, why don't we rehab the Wesley Street facility? I just wanted to remind you that we had an architectural group come in and do an evaluation of the Wesley Street Jail and stated that it was going to be cost prohibitive. That, in other words, it would cost more to rehab that facility than it would to raise it and build a new facility. In addition, we had employed a white paper, which is somebody who is completely neutral to this through Region 2, who came to the same conclusion. So I just wanted to make sure that you are all aware of that. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, my name is Vincent Wouters, and I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. Yes, sorry, Vincent Wouters. Just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself. I applied to be on the Jackson County Planning Commission for the open public seat, and just wanted to introduce myself. My family and I moved back to the Jackson area over a year ago. We started our family here in Michigan in 2015, and just continuing to grow that here, and just look forward to being more involved here at the county and here in the city that we live in for the future. So thank you for the opportunity to apply. Look forward to working together in the future.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Bittinger. I also, last month, Commissioner Kennedy enthusiastically recommended us and communicated to us to get involved with the county boards. I have desired for a while to join in to serve our community, or our county, through one of these standing committees. So I did. I applied also for the Jackson County Planning Commission, the public seat, and I also applied for the public seat on the DHHS committee. So I had planned, I just wanted to mention this, I don't know if it's going to make a difference, but I had planned to attend these committee meetings last week, or actually I had planned to attend them yesterday, because the site says the Monday before the county commission. So I'm thinking Monday yesterday before today. So I don't know if you need to be a little bit more clear about which Monday before this to attend those other meetings. It's probably just me, and I should have been more thorough in checking the actual dates of the meeting. So anyway, I do hope that you will consider appointing me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Nathaniel Mulvihill. Huge money-spending tourist in the state of Michigan. I don't know who's responsible for the expansion of the trail, the Mike Lakeland's Community Bicycle Trail that now ends basically at the state police post, runs just past the prison. And then there's a gap from there until our art trail picks up somewhere on Cooper Street and then continues through the Martin Luther King City Trail and out the Falling Waters Trail, all the way out to Springport, Concord. One negative thing, at that point it ends and it's a long way before you get to Battle Creek. But with that extremely small gap from the police station, from the sheriff's office, state police post at the prison into where the art trail is, would allow a huge amount of tourist traffic from Detroit. With that small connection, you can make it all the way to Metro Detroit, all the way to the far side of Metro Detroit with less than 5 miles on actual roads. So with just that small couple of miles left to complete the trail to get from out of town into downtown, I think it's something that the county should consider. I don't know whether it would be best to take it over to the river and follow it down the river, if it would be best to follow Cooper Street into town, but I would love it if we could complete that. I think it would bring a lot of tourist money into Jackson County. So thank you for that, and I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Bournemouth, 142 West Pearl Street. Remind everyone that we have an election on November 7th, first Tuesday in November. I happen to be running for the city council. I encourage anybody out there who is in Ward 1, which is the east side of the city of Jackson, starts at Jackson Street downtown, goes all the way out to the city limits on the east side, to vote for me, because I'm the best candidate. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amador Ibarra. As a volunteer election poll challenger and a volunteer observer of the Jackson County Board of Canvassers for the last 3 elections, I am confident in the free and fair access to the ballot as administered by the Election Division of the Jackson County Clerk's Office. They do a fantastic job. I want everybody here to know that. I have seen firsthand election officials all working together to ensure every voter gets a ballot that is counted. I believe the Jackson County Clerk's Office, Election Division, and the County Commission have always ensured no person or organization practicing an election obstruction or interference would be tolerated. I'm also confident the County Election Division will, if this were to happen, act swiftly to identify and remove any such bad actors from the election process consistent with Michigan election law. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kim Mulvihill. Donald Trump has been indicted 4 times in recent months. Trump was most recently indicted on 13 criminal counts by a Fulton County grand jury in Georgia State Court related to his alleged attempts to overturn the results of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Separately, Trump was indicted by a federal grand jury on 4 counts in a criminal proceeding in Washington, D.C., also related to his attempts to overturn the will of voters and interfere with the 2020 presidential election results. He has also been indicted by a different federal grand jury in Florida on 40 counts in relation to both obstructing an investigation into and his unlawful retention of classified documents after his presidential term. He has been indicted on 34 counts in a criminal proceeding in New York State Court related to hush money payments made to an adult film star during the 2016 presidential campaign. All of the grand juries that decided to indict Trump were made up of local citizens randomly chosen from the jury pool. On August 14th, 2023, Donald Trump was indicted on 13 counts in Georgia State Court, including under the racketeer, influenced, and corrupt organization known as the RICO Act. 18 additional co-defendants have been named in this case, including Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, his attorneys Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman. The allegations in the indictment revolve around these individual efforts to overturn the will of voters and invalidate the results of the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. So like Georgia, Michigan is also focusing on prosecuting people who have tried to interfere with our election. Michigan has a great record for safe elections, for accurate elections. And we have a great prosecutorial team who is going to go after anybody who does try to interfere with our safe elections. Every vote should be counted, and illegal activities that occur to try to harvest votes or do other inappropriate things to interfere with our elections needs to be addressed and prosecuted. Thank you and have a great day. Oh, and you can't see a timer here to know how much time is passing.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. We have no special meetings of standing committee. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion and support. Any corrections? Madam Clerk, could you post the vote?
It is posted. Passes unanimously.
Thank you. We've arrived at the consent agenda. Entertain a motion for the consent agenda. I have motion for support. Items for removal. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to remove item 10E. I'm sorry, 10D. Federal procurement policy.
We will move that to Standing Committee General Government 10B. You got that, Phil? 14B. Going to 14B. Any other items for removal for discussion at a later date? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, could you post the vote?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's posted.
Please do.
It appears we're having a bit of difficulty. I will roll voice call this. Commissioner Walls.
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Pileski.
Yes.
Commissioner Willis.
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Snell.
Yes.
Commissioner Bear.
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Standing Committee, Public Safety and Transportation, chaired by Vice Chairman Commissioner Kennedy. Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have one item of business tonight.
that is a public seat on the Jackson County Planning Commission. The current seat is vacant. We had two applicants, Vincent Wooters Jr. and Jennifer Bittinger. The committee recommendation is Jennifer Bittinger.
Any nominations from the floor?
Mr. Chair, if I'm in order, I'd like to nominate Mr. Vincent Wolters.
Any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, we have two nominations. Commissioner Bear? You have a question?
Clarification, if I can have it. The minutes of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting of October 9, 2023, says that this appointment is for the Region 2 Planning Commission.
That's correct.
Yet the published paper for tonight's decision says Jackson County Planning Commission.
That's correct.
Which is it, the
Staff.
Region 2 Planning Commission or the Jackson County
It's
Planning
the
Commission?
Jackson County Planning Commission, staffed by the Region 2 Planning Commission.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Well, Region 2 is our administrative arm that staffs this. We don't send a staff person. So we have one of their planners, who's the administrative secretary and clerk, and it handles all of the planning commission items that come from all the townships and come to the county. So then, we appoint the members to the Jackson County Planning Commission to say yea or nay on all the items that are submitted to Region 2 planning within the township system that the County Board of Commissioners oversees. I realize it's convoluted, but it takes a little bit. Both, while ambiguous, are correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Kennedy,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Duckham,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Pulaski,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Willis,
Wouters.
Commissioner Williams,
Wouters.
Commissioner Snell,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Bear,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Walls,
Bittinger.
Chairman Shotwell.
Bittinger.
Bittinger passes.
Okay,
Commissioner Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations to Mrs. Bittinger. That concludes Public Safety and Transportation Committee's business tonight.
Thank you, sir. We have now arrived at General Government Standing Committee, chaired by Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Duckham, I need to make the public and the Board of Commissioners aware that while these are general government appointments, it appears that this roster appears under your Human Services notification, just to make yourself aware of it. Commissioner Duckham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two items of business tonight. The first one will be appointment of the General County Board appointment of the Land Bank Authority. The recommendation coming out of committee is as printed. Pete Jancic, Lindsay Noel, Corey Kennedy, Phil Duckham, John Willis, Jonathan Green, Ray Snell, Tim Golding, and Mary Walcott. That fills all the positions. I'd like to pass these as a whole unless there's anything from the floor.
Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, duly carried. Commissioner Duckham.
Second item of business, sir, is the federal procurement policy, policy number 2010.
Entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second? Discussion. Commissioner Bear.
for the minutes that we just approved a couple moments ago for the September 19 Board of Commissioners meeting. On page 3, item 14B talks about this policy. The motion that was passed that day, redirect this item to go back to Administrator Controller's Office for review and inclusion of the Brooks Act laws. That has not been included. That has not happened. I met with the Administrator Controller, shared several documents on why we must include the Brooks Act in this federal procurement policy, because if we don't follow those policies, we will lose the grant. 2 million, 3 million, whatever the grant amount is, we will forfeit it. Some of the issues within the proposed purchasing policy. On page 6, procurement by sealed bids. Talks about sealing bids that we can take into consideration the lowest price. If you do that on procurement of architectural and engineering services, you have violated the Brooks Act and you will lose that grant. Those policies, that low price by the Brooks Act cannot be a contributing factor in A&E services. I know because for 20 years, I provided architectural and engineering services for funds, federal grant funds, under the Brooks Act. So I know how that procurement procedure goes. I did it for 20 years. On page 7, procurement of competitive proposals, bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, bullet point 5. The county may use competitive proposals for procurement of qualifications for the architectural and engineering services. The word may needs to be changed to shall. The Brooks Act mandates it. It doesn't say you may consider it or you may not. You absolutely must consider that. So this policy was sent back in the motion to include Brooks Act. Brooks Act policies have not been included. And if it passes this way, we are at great risk of losing millions of dollars of grants. So I will move that this once more go back to Administrator Controller for inclusion of the Brooks Act requirements.
Chair, I'll second that for discussion purposes.
That is not a secondable item for discussion purposes, sir. This is, if you accept his motion, it automatically goes and there's no discussion.
Okay.
You're in discussion right now.
Can we have just a recommendation?
What's that, sir?
Just a further explanation of Commissioner Bear's request.
Would you like it from the administrator's office, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Administrator Controller Overton.
To be frank, there's lots of federal laws that they have on grants and things of that sort. You do not have to name the actual law in the policy. The policy covers numerous federal laws. The Brooks Act is just one of them. While it may not say Brooks Act, it's in there. There's no violations. And Deborah, would you like to elaborate on the specifics that Commissioner Bear pointed to?
Sure, thank you. The specific language for the Brooks Act is on page 7, the 5th bullet point. It was in there from the beginning, so there was no changes necessary because it was already in there. As Mike indicated, it just doesn't highlight that this is the Brooks Act. In addition, at the very, very beginning of the policy, on page 1, first paragraph, It says procurement procedures must comply with the standards imposed by the Office of Management and Budget, uniform administrative requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal awards under the CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations. So even if it doesn't specifically say something in here, the very first paragraph says we have to comply with all federal laws under the CFR, which is a broad umbrella, which the Brooks Act falls under. The Brooks Act falls under the CFR. So everything is included in there. It just does not specifically say it's there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing further.
Further questions? Further questions? Commissioner Bear?
If that opening paragraph is presumed to cover the Brooks Act, then you have wording within this policy that contradicts the Brooks Act. Our department heads, when they have received a federal grant and they are going through the process of selecting an architect or engineer, they're not going to read the Brooks Act. They're going to read this written policy. And if they follow this policy as written, we will forfeit the grant.
Thank you for making us aware of that, Commissioner Bear. It's observed by the Board of Commissioners that in the last 45 years of our existence, we have not lost any grants to our forfeiture of the Brooks Act or omitting any state or federal laws, and we have obeyed them to the letter, and we will continue to do so. While we appreciate you making us aware of it, sir, are you making any further motions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Duly carried. Passed 8-1.
That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Standing Committee Human Services, chaired by Commissioner Earl Pileski. Commissioner Pileski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have appointments tonight. There are two items. One is the often seen opening in this particular committee for an installer alternate for the Sanitary Code Board of Appeals. The new term is expiring January 2024. It's vacant currently, and we have had no applicants. Barring a nomination from the floor, I'll move on to the next item. Hearing no nominations, I'm going to move on to the next item. The DHHS public seat, currently held by Elizabeth Youngdahl. It has a new term coming up. The new term will expire October of 2026. We had two applicants, Elizabeth Youngdahl and Jennifer Bittinger, and Elizabeth Youngdahl is the recommendation of the committee, Mr. Chair.
Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Madam Clerk, are you prepared to call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Duckham,
Youngdahl?
Commissioner Pileski,
Youngdahl.
Commissioner Willis,
Youngdahl.
Commissioner Williams,
Youngdahl?
Commissioner Snell,
Youngdahl.
Commissioner Bear,
Bittinger.
Commissioner Walls,
Youngdahl.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Bittinger.
Chairman Shotwell.
Youngdahl.
Youngdahl passes.
Thank you. Commissioner Pileski.
That concludes our business for this evening. Thank you, sir.
We have no unfinished business to come before the board. New business is an agreement for early voting agreement that the county clerk has made arrangements with some townships. She is willing to give an explanation at this time. We do need to pass this evening if we can. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your indulgence tonight. As you may know, in November of 2022, Michigan voters adopted Proposal 22-2, which added language to the Michigan Constitution requiring early voting. And so within that, there are three options for municipalities to enter into a countywide agreement, enter into an agreement with another municipality, or do it individually themselves. And so by hosting a countywide early voting site, we can save money. We can pool our resources together, which I think is a good resource to save our taxpayer dollars. And so in our agreement, so far, we have 16 of the 20 municipalities that wish to go with a county, which I think is a good sign that a lot of the municipalities agree with going with a countywide agreement. And so here tonight, I'm asking for the board's approval to enter into that agreement and provide early voting as required by the Constitution now. If there's any questions or anything I can answer, I am happy to do so.
Questions? Commissioner Bear?
Did I hear correctly? You're just asking for a voice approval, not a official vote or?
So the motion in front of you is quite lengthy. It's to authorize the county to enter into an agreement for election services between Jackson County and Blackman Charter Township, Concord Township, Grass Lake Charter Township, Hanover Township, Henrietta Township, Leone Township, Liberty Township, Napoleon Township, Norval Township, Parma Township, Pulaski Township, Rives Township, Springport Township, Summit Township, Tompkins Township, Waterloo Township, and any additional municipalities within Jackson that desire to become parties to this agreement to provide for early voting as required by the Michigan Constitution and Michigan election law, and to authorize the county clerk to execute this agreement on behalf of the county.
I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you.
I have that motion from Commissioner Bear, supported by Commissioner Duckham. Commissioner Kennedy.
Sierra, would you mind letting the public know where these sites are going to be? At the Leone Township meeting, they said they were opting in.
Yeah.
And there's some confusion. People think they can go to Leone Township Hall, and that does not seem to be the case. And some think they can come down to the county tower building, and that's also not the case.
Yes, thank you. Yes. So where the two sites will be located are at Summit Township and at Blackman Township. So just slightly north of the city and slightly south of the city. And we strategically did choose those two locations, and those are municipal-owned buildings. And no, you cannot go for early voting. You cannot go to your precinct that you would normally go to. There will be notices that will be sent out. But for anyone that participates in the countywide agreement, you will be able to go to either one of those sites to vote.
And people could still turn in their absentee ballots to the township that they live in if they're not doing early voting,
Yes,
correct?
Commissioner Kennedy, yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarity.
Just to clarify, who are the exceptions?
I'm sorry, the exception, sorry, I missed that.
Who are the
Oh,
exceptions? The city of Jackson?
the municipalities that do not intend to go with the county at this time are the city of Jackson, Columbia Township, and then Spring Arbor and Sandstone are going together as a municipality.
So we have 16 that will be using Blackman and Summit,
Yes,
and the city, Spring Arbor, Sandstone, and Columbia will be using their own.
their own designated sites. They will not be able to vote at the countywide facility. That is correct. Commissioner Willis?
We have a motion, and we have support. Do we have further questions?
Yes, just want to confirm, you spoke to me earlier this year, just to be clear, so the city, they're setting up their own sites for us, so District 7 and 8 will be
Yes.
set up by the city. in the
Yes,
next
the
2,
city
3,
will be
4.
setting up their own early voting site, yes. Yep. No disenfranchising any voters.
Ready to vote? Madam Clerk, if you could post.
It is posted. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We have no other new business to come before the board. We've arrived at the second opportunity for public comment. Public comment guidelines for each individual will state their name. You have 2 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment opportunity and may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate nor answer questions at this time. Any public comment?
Jennifer Bittinger, just wanted to thank you all so much for your support in appointing me. I'm looking forward to working with you and more importantly, getting more involved with our county, making this a great county. Thank you so much.
Nathaniel Mulvihill, good evening. I went looking for a list of all 91 of Trump's indictments. I was going to read that list and actually found a list, and boy, is it dry. It's the same thing over and over and over again. It's falsifying business records or setting up a conspiracy, falsifying these records. It's the same, so I'm not going to subject you to that long, long, long list. But I would like to remind people of basically my opinion regarding UFOs. Now, it's easy to say there's no UFOs. You've never seen one. But over the thousands of years of recorded human history and the millions and millions of reported sightings, only one of those sightings has to be accurate in order for there to be solid proof of UFOs in our airspace. So with 91 indictments on a single man, only one of 91 indictments has to be true for that man to be a criminal worthy of prosecution and incarceration. I thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
My name is James Minnick. I'm from Columbia Township. General Patton from World War II. I heard he was a womanizer. I heard he drank. I heard he smoked cigars. I heard he might even had a juvenile record. He might have been convicted of some misdemeanors. I don't know. But he was the right man for the job, and we wouldn't have replaced him with anybody knowing what we know now. I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump. I don't care if you've got some personal vendetta or you've got some lunacy psychosis that makes you just an anti-Trumper. But this man is the George Washington for this country that we need. And because of his age, because of the position he's in, not only has he already sacrificed his whole life for his country to do what he did in 2016, but I think he's just going to do a 4-year kamikaze political campaign that saves this country and leaves it back in the hands of the people. Enough said.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Brown. I'm from Summit Township. So Biden was inaugurated at 11:47 on that day. That was during Trump's presidential run, and Biden didn't get the nuke codes. He got a formal military funeral that day. And Trump is still president, and I know I sound crazy. Thanks.
Any further public comment? Any further?
Peter Bournemouth, 142 West Pearl Street. Of course, the danger of another Trump presidency is that he could give himself pardons for all of those charges that have been brought against him and his associates. So people should keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind, I'd like to point out that I noticed that in the recent election in Poland that just took place, 76% of the population voted. Now, that was a national election. I don't expect 76% of the city voters to come out this time. But the biggest failure of American democracy is that we are not voting, that a very small minority of the population is making the choices of our leaders. And this is one of the largest problems we have in the United States. And until we get the type of participation that you see in other countries, we are going to continue having problems with people who are not qualified and are elected by the voters, a small minority, and we'll have the type of dysfunction we have right now in Congress in the Republican Party. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Bear?
Michigan in the 2022 election had more people on the qualified voter list than are in Michigan of eligible voting age. So if we have more people, the number of people that are of voting, eligible voting age, and we have thousands more that are registered voters, yeah, there's fraud.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Duckham?
Yes, just before I come in the meeting tonight, I was made aware of some breaking news. It might excite a few people out there in the audience. Donald Trump is waiting to be indicted again. He took the tag off his mattress.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Snell?
Thank you. And I think we all need to remember that we are, whether Trump's indicted or not, he's presumed innocent until convicted. And quite frankly, I see a lot of this as a witch hunt to keep him off the ballot, and I will fully support our President Trump.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Pileski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to thank the clerk and her crew for their hard work in complying with a very difficult set of new rules with respect to voting. And thanks also to my colleagues here for approving the agreement that needed to be approved on a relatively quick basis. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any commissioner comments? Others? Seeing or hearing none, I want to let the community be aware of the fact, the reason why the trail's not complete going north through Blackman Township. It's because of an EPA and a dirty site. They had to get it cleaned up first, and then the trail will be complete from Monroe Street all the way out to Parnell Road, and we'll have a connector. And we're working, the Jackson County Parks is working with Blackman Township on 2 different possible kayak and canoe launch and parking locations on that said trail. Seeing that there are no closed session, entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion and support. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, duly carried.